now we're going to talk about, is my goal achievable, right? And the way that you want to, the A in the SMART goal framework is achievable. And the way that we know if our goal is achievable, we have to look at our individual capacity. We have to understand what season of life we're in right now. We can have a goal to save $250, but or 300 or 3K per year. But if we already know our monthly income is only a certain amount, we have to be a little bit more realistic and set a goal that's more realistic to what we can actually achieve, right? We don't want to set ourselves up for failure. So we should ask ourselves these two questions. Is this something I can truly commit to right now? It's very important. And then do I have or can I access what I need to make this happen? So I'm going to give you an example of what it looks like to make sure that the goal is achievable based on the information we've been using before around the save money goal. Last time we made it measurable by saying I will save $250 per month. Now we're going to make this achievable by putting a few more indicators on it. You'll see how it's going to get a little bit longer. So before, I will save $250 a month. And now after, our goal is I will save $200 a month by skipping Starbucks runs and eating out only once a week. My stretch goal is to save 250 by skipping Starbucks and pausing a streaming subscription for 6 months. Now, that was a lot of words. So let me explain to you what happened there. There is a goal and there's a stretch goal. The goal is something that is a little bit more realistic, the $200, right? And the stretch goal is saying, you know what, if I meet my 200, but then I have a little bit more income that comes in, I still want to have that written down, right? Because I still want to make that 3K a year. Talking about how I can actually make it happen, right? This makes it even more clear. If I know my income doesn't allow me to have 200 extra dollars a month, but I also know if I can take something out of my budget or move some things out of my budget, like Starbucks or a streaming service, that would help me get there. That makes sure that you're going to reach your goal. All these things, everything we're doing every day that we're clarifying our goals, we're getting one step closer to making sure it's actually achievable and that we get to the end, like we actually accomplish this thing. So I will say $200 a month. That's a little bit more realistic, right? By skipping Starbucks, because Starbucks, come on now, y'all know. I'm using Starbucks as an example, but you can spend $20 at Starbucks real easy every visit if you're getting food and something to drink, okay? And by the end of the week, you can spend a lot of money. So if you skip your Starbucks runs and you only go once a week, that can be money back in your pocket and it can help you to reach your monthly goal. And then if you want to also stretch yourself a little bit, you can say, okay, I want to say 250. Well, in order to do that, you're going to have to do what you said you were going to do, skip Starbucks, but also you're going to have to look somewhere else in your budget and say, you know what, I need to pause a streaming service. Oftentimes you can pause the streaming service. You don't have to cancel it completely and they won't charge you per month. And I use these two as an example because these are things that we don't necessarily need. We don't need coffee. We don't need coffee from Starbucks, right? And we don't necessarily watch, if you think about it, we don't watch all the streaming services all the time. And if you have several, you know what? I'll just pause this one for 6 months instead of the entire year. And before you know it, you've made enough money to reach your goal. So that's just a way to do it. Just an example of how you can do it and a way to throw it out there. And I use the save money example because we all are looking for ways to save money in this climate. Okay. All right. So it's time to move on to the next section. Before we do, I just want to applaud you because right now you're looking at your goals and they are specific, they're measurable, and they are achievable. So I want you to go back through the goals that you've written down in your notebook. I want you to go back through and I want you to make sure that you've paid attention to making sure they are specific, measurable, achievable. And in your book, I didn't mention this in the last two sections, but you have a sheet where you can actually write down next to S, specific, next to M, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So you can put your original goal here that would be save money. And then we made it specific. We said save 3K a year. We made it measurable by saying save $250 per month. And then we made it achievable by saying, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to eliminate some other expenses in order to meet my goal. And then I'm going to have a stretch goal to even make sure I can get there. But this is the sheet that you should be using to complete your goals activity. And as you see, once we get through to the end, your new goal will be listed here. Make sense? All right. Well, that is all I have for you in this section. I will see you again, and we'll be talking about the next section of clarifying your goals. All right. I will talk to you soon.